Everybody right now is making this video on Nintendo's 2024 games lineup, like the biggest, best Switch games coming out in 24. I'm going to do you one better. Nintendo Switch's games lineup for 2025, because this actually should be Nintendo's most important year for game releases. Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Hope you're all doing fantastic out there. We're going to start this week with a bang and a funny anecdote. Last video sounded awful. The audio was so horrible. I'm very sorry, and I could not figure out why. I have one microphone plugged in. I had no clue what was happening. What was happening was it was recording through my PS5 controller. This was plugged into my PC. I did not know this was possible, but it was recording. It was recording through the tiny microphone on here, and that's why it sounded so weird. I was like sitting here befuddled. How is it recording not into this mic? PS5 was trying to sabotage Nintendo Switch. Put that on your news blog. Anyhow, 2024 is going to be a great year. Every year seems to eventually have a very fun, diverse lineup of Nintendo Switch games, and our already announced lineup of Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Princess Peach Showtime, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, which is now my most anticipated after how much fun I've had with Super Mario RPG. It's already looking good. And then the anticipated titles of Metroid Prime 4, gotta come out soon, and a new 3D Mario, which everyone is heavily predicting, plus the games Nintendo will just inevitably pepper in throughout the year. It's looking to be a stellar year yet again, and everyone's talking about this lineup and how fun it's going to be. I'm not even talking about a new console, I'm just talking straight games, but 2025 is where it actually becomes monumental. There are two titles that Nintendo Switch absolutely relied on the entire generation, two titles that dominated the discourse, and they're not Zelda, they're not Mario. Well, they're sort of Mario, but they're not 3D Mario, and they're definitely not Metroid, and they're not Peach and not Luigi, and none of these games actually have the same impact that the two I'm talking about have. And 2025 would mark a freaking forever since the last one in one of the franchises, and 5 years since the last in the other franchise. Hopefully you can guess one of these games by now, which is Mario Kart. All right, we have been riding on the coattails of Mario Kart 8 for over a decade, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe became the lead pony for Nintendo Switch very early on in its life cycle. But I don't think Nintendo is going to do the same thing this time around. I don't think they're ready for a Mario Kart 9 or 10, however you want to label it, because they just finished up their Course Booster Pass, and they'd like to let that carry Nintendo Switch memberships into next year. But 2025 should finally see the release of the next Mario Kart game. The first new Mario Kart in over a decade. Think about how crazy that is. Mario Kart 8 came out back in the Wii U era. It will be forever since this game came out in 2014. By 2025, it'll have been 11 years, and the market will be so ripe and primed for a new Mario Kart. And this to me is Nintendo's most important title because it's what set the tone for Nintendo Switch. Somehow, some way, it became the 50 million seller. It became the pack-in game. It became the game that everyone had to have. And therefore, the next Mario Kart has insane expectations and has insane pressure to be super successful. Mario Kart is in the perfect spot where I believe Smash Bros. Was before Ultimate. Mario Kart can deliver an Ultimate version in 2025 that combines elements, characters, and ideas from all the past Mario Karts, plus brand new stuff. It's truly where they can enter the crossover verse and deliver us characters from plenty of Nintendo favorites. It can become the Nintendo Kart, but still labeled Mario Kart, and they'll have a very potent online system, and they can finally bring us brand new courses that were not designed for a phone or for a Wii U, and they can give them to us on Nintendo Switch or Switch 2, frankly, does not matter, but it will be absolutely the biggest release of the year when it comes out in 2025. I can't see them waiting much longer. If there is a new console, they definitely would want to drop this shortly after the console, but maybe give it some time to build up an install base. I feel like Nintendo used Mario Kart 8 to draw people to the Switch since it was such a favorite on Wii U and didn't really sell as many as it could have, but Mario Kart 8 sold plenty. We're not going to do a carryover again, and we do need some space from the Course Booster Pass, which I think can still bring fans into the online subscription service for the Switch or for the Switch 2. 2025, though, feels like, okay, it has been 11 years, It's time to restart the cycle. Let's get that new Mario Kart up to 50 million copies, and let's be massive again, and maybe even much better. I mean, by all accounts, taking all they've learned in the last decade, plus from the course booster pass, like, it should really be the ultimate Mario Kart, and could put itself in a position that Smash Brothers found itself in, being like the best, biggest, favorite Smash Brothers, with tons of DLC, great characters, great courses, great multiplayer, and maybe even like some sort of tournament presence. I could see Nintendo trying to emphasize that, given how important this game will be. Now, the next game isn't actually Smash Brothers, which I feel is going to be a very interesting title for Nintendo. Where they go from here, how they restart sort of the cycle for that one, is going to be one of the most interesting stories of the next generation. But instead, it's Animal Crossing 2025 that will be the most important other title Nintendo can release in the near future. It'll have been 5 years since Animal Crossing New Horizons dropped, and 3 years since they stopped releasing consistent updates for the game. Actually allergic to that statement because it was so sad that they just decided to take another mega seller, another world-defining game, a cultural phenomenon, and just cut it off. But one of the reasons they cut it off is so that they could make another game and sell you a full another $60 or $70 product yet again. Animal Crossing New Horizons did see many improvements to the franchise and so many good additions to the game, including multiplayer. But that multiplayer was very basic. And the islands themselves, while more dynamic than ever before, had item limits, graphical issues, and weren't really maybe as huge as they could have been, considering some of the contemporary competitors in sort of the city building, world building space. I think Animal Crossing is again in a position like Mario Kart where they can deliver an ultimate version that truly impresses and improves upon its predecessor that was already so successful. You have Animal Crossing New Horizons that sold plenty by basically being a better New Leaf. It was basically Animal Crossing New Leaf, where it started out different and then brought in all this stuff from New Leaf. It was a better New Leaf. Like, I think we can say that without emotion now, that it didn't maybe take the huge colossal step. Now, obviously crafting was fantastic and terraforming was amazing, but it felt like these were almost first tries, right? Like beta versions of some of this stuff that could go a lot further in the next game. Sort of the next game would be the true evolution, the full step, as opposed to the half step that New Horizons, in hindsight, could be viewed as. Especially with the possibility of new, more powerful hardware, but even with the Switch, I think this is a chance for Animal Crossing to really go into its ultimate form. And Nintendo knows that these titles were so vital to the success and the longevity of the Switch, and honestly selling multiple Switches for families to play Mario Kart together, for people to even have their own island in Animal Crossing. They'll probably do the same thing with the next one, where you can only have one island per Switch, inviting players to buy multiple copies, multiple consoles, and to really help use both Animal Crossing and Mario Kart once again as launch points and slingshots for the next system, or also the Switch, to go super far, to really elevate to the stratosphere. Because 3D Mario is a big seller, and obviously whatever comes next in the Zelda franchise will garner so much enthusiasm and a boatload of hype. But it's actually Mario Kart and Animal Crossing that really were the most important titles for Nintendo Switch, and I think they'll be the most important titles when Nintendo releases their inevitable sequels. It feels like 2025 could be another crown year for Nintendo. If we consider 2017 that crown year for the original Switch because of Mario Kart, Mario Odyssey, and Breath of the Wild, I think 2025 seeing the release of Mario Kart and Animal Crossing could be the most important year and the biggest year for Nintendo in the coming decade. Perhaps they do save one of these titles for 2026, but can you really see them waiting another 3 years for a new Mario Kart, especially now that the course booster pass is wrapped up? And can you really see them waiting another 3 years for an Animal Crossing, even though we're already years beyond the last Animal Crossing's release? It does feel like a 5-year cycle for Animal Crossing and an 11-year cycle for Mario Kart is plenty of time. And I could see these being the headliners for 2025 after 2024 utilizes 3D Mario and Metroid Prime. Honestly, if you think about it, what other heavy hitters do they have? They have Smash Brothers, which is honestly probably undergoing some sort of revolution, and we'll see, I think, a drastically new focus for whatever comes next. We have Zelda, obviously, but with Tears of the Kingdom just releasing a few months back, there's no chance the next game is ready anytime soon. They could do a 2D Zelda, but that's not really a major tentpole title in the same way that these others are. And then Gen 10 Pokemon is also still years and years away, considering we're still waiting for the final DLC piece or the second part of the expansion pack for Scarlet and Violet. That's off in the distance. Splatoon 3 is still pressing content aggressively, so there's no need for a Splatoon 4. Ask yourself, what other big games can Nintendo make besides some surprising new IP? It's Mario 3D, Metroid Prime, Animal Crossing, and Mario Kart. And 2 of those are predicted for 2024, leaving the other 2 to move to what I believe will be a 2025 mega launch. One comes out in the summer, like Zelda. One comes out in the fall, like Mario, and you're good to go. You launch Animal Crossing in the summer, you launch Mario Kart in the fall, and you have the 2 biggest sellers, unless GTA 6 comes out, you have the 2 biggest sellers of the year, and 2 titles that maybe they don't compete for Game of the Year, but like they'll compete for Game of the Year in terms of the most discussed, the most played, the most important, and the most culturally relevant, globally popular titles. 2025 is actually the year I'm insanely excited for, and Nintendo will pepper in the rest of the year with plenty of other titles, just like they'll do for 2024. But while 2024 is exciting to talk about for Peach and Samus and the return of Mario, I think it's actually Mario Kart and Animal Crossing coming back that is what Nintendo is gearing up for the most. Those are their biggest launches. Those have become their most important franchises, and those should be 2025's absolute megatons. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, thanks again. SwitchForce out.